concrete or dirt. The stage is the same, the rules unwavering, and the goals beautiful.
It goes in! Improbable scenes!
It's where the dream begins to achieve the ultimate victory.
The underdogs have prevailed once again!
One cup open to all.
There is a celebration in Orlando.
Now, America's oldest soccer tournament is back.
Oh, it's incredible!
The field doesn't care if you're a pro or trying to be one. It only asks, how bad do you want it?
It's unbelievable!
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
From the Californian capital of Sacramento, it's the round of 32 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. From Major League Soccer, the Colorado Rapids pay a visit to the Sacramento Republic. Last year's Theater of Dreams, Heart Health Park, an 18-1 all-time record for the home side in this tournament. They try and defend it tonight. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Sacramento knocked off 3 separate Major League Soccer sides en route to the final. A 3-0 loss in which they were level, scoreless, 75 minutes in at Orlando, including their thrilling penalty shootout against Sporting Kansas City. One thing we know, Devin, is Russell Cicerone is ready to help Sacramento get back to that point.
Only 12 professional goals to his name, and then entered the 2021 season with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, a breakout season of 16 goals, and the stock continues to rise every single year. With the departure of last year's player of the tournament and Roro Lopez, Russell Cicerone will have to bear the burden on this team moving forward. He's become much more comfortable at a central location, and he's going to be instrumental in their success, as will Barrios when he moves. The goals that he's been able to score this year, 2 goals, 2 assists in MLS play, both game-tying goals in the 91st and 92nd dramatic fashions, comeback draws. This is a guy, though, who knows what it takes to get a result. 2016 Open Cup winner with FC Dallas to be on the front line with Jonathan Lewis, stretch the game and provide that bridging of the gap with guys like Max and Danny Leyva in the midfield.
Here are the lineups. 6 from last year's Open Cup final squad for Sacramento, just 3 from the weekend win against Galaxy for Colorado.
To me, it's an interesting note for Sacramento Republic that they've added one to the front line. It's not an out-and-out 5 in the midfield. Instead, you're going to recreate Roro Lopez in the aggregate. Cicerone and Keko will look to maintain that. Watch Max for the Colorado Rapids bouncing out of the midfield, jumping onto the front line, allowing the width to push the tempo while maintaining possession and finding guys like Jonathan Lewis and Barrios in transition.
Sacramento breaks their huddle. Devin, we spoke to Mark Briggs in the lead up to this match. You cannot recreate last year. You can only hope to recreate new memories this year.
You lean on what you know, and what we know right now is that this team in domestic play in the USL Championship, Sacramento Republic ticking at an all-time high, but they're also matched up against the team in the Colorado Rapids that is unbeaten in their last 8. Only 3 wins to their name, but their stock is on the rise.
Here we go, underway in perhaps the most excited and anticipated round of 32 matchup. It's the Rapids from Colorado taking on the Republic of Sacramento. Marco Illich in goal for Colorado. It's been William Yarbrough who's had the job throughout the MLS season. Down to Max. Away by Felipe to Priso. Sebastian Anderson knows the level of this league quite well. Loaned over the years to Colorado Springs, a Western Conference rival of the Republic.
And one of the players that was picked out immediately by Robin Fraser and the impact he could have within this game because of that, Mike. An excellent opportunity for Sebastian Anderson, regardless of...
Sanchez puts it up, header down, and that's Illich diving to snare it at the line.
Regardless of the tactical changes that the Colorado Rapids have undergone over the past couple of weeks within MLS play, domestically they're starting to find a rhythm, feel like they are creating defensively. They're right now 3 shutouts in that 8-game unbeaten stretch. With all the changes, can you maintain it? ton of injuries for this squad as well. You know, when Jack Price went down in preseason on the road at Orlando City, they thought they might have a problem. Well, then just a couple of matches into the 2023 domestic campaign, they certainly did. You lose one of your most important pieces, and yet they have found a way. But can they do it on the road against the Sacramento Republic squad that currently 17-1 all-time at home? And they're also boasting a 14-match unbeaten streak here at home. That, by the way, second longest in the modern era, tied, just behind Seattle Sounders and the Chicago Fire. Special thanks to Josh Hackle and the Cup.US for that one.
Those 14 games beg all the way back to 2017. Comes to Vidiello. Away from Keko. Priso. Edwards. Big collision. Anderson wins the moment. Priso. Strong step by Donovan. Continues here for the Rapids. Through. Vidiello's out! The Rapids have the goal in the 4th minute of play! Jonathan Lewis breaking through for the Rapids. He can't stop scoring.
How's this little deflection on the near touchline for Sebastian Anderson that pops out for Alf Priso? It's just a little bit of pressure on the back shoulder of Valder Sanchez, but all of a sudden, watch the trailing run on the backside by Jonathan Lewis. Really smartly done. Jared Timmer on the high line. It's a switch, he and Shane Wheat. As Timmer comes high, all of a sudden, you've got a regression by Jack Kerr, but he doesn't pick up the run quick enough. Instead, Lewis recognizes the real estate, steps in, and buries it into the back of the net.
He scored away to LA Galaxy, the finisher over the weekend, 2 against Northern Colorado in the Open Cup. And Jonathan Lewis has the Rapids off and running. Service in the air. Illich able to pluck it. Barrios. Nice drop off. Alves, not to be. Anderson. You know, Dev, one thing that really stood out about Sacramento's run last year is there were no carbon copies when they faced MLS sides. They fell behind, they jumped in front, they took it to extra time, went to penalties. Over the course of their 3 cup set wins, of course, they had the final on level terms up to the 75th minute against Orlando. Sanchez, Luis Felipe, dangerously.
On the other side of that is defensively, they only conceded 2 the entire tournament leading into the final, but this is a team right out of the gate that has had to scrap their way into it. The match back on April 5th with Crossfire Richmond gave them a scare, conceded 4 in a comeback victory that really saw them struggle throughout the 90 minutes. And yet within USL Championship play, they're starting to set a precedent unmatched by any other for their lack of goals in concession.
You said only 2 conceded in the Open Cup last year. They've only conceded 2 in their 8 league games this year, too.
Plus 12 goal differential. They are really something else. It's certainly the main precedent within either the Eastern or Western Conference right now.
All swerved over Cicerone. Down by Wheat.
referee is Ricardo Fierro. Blows the whistle here. A regular within the USL Championship and the NWSL past few years. A collision away from Herrera. Commits the foul. Sacramento basically started over at the number 9 spot over the offseason, which, given all their success last year, could feel shocking, and yet they got goals from everywhere. Donovan into the air. Edwards slides, Cicerone continues. Cicerone swings the cross. Never in doubt for Colorado. And Leyva continued. Max. Over by Marcanic. His twin brother Nick, featured for Charleston earlier tonight, came off injured about 10 minutes into that match. Charleston fell to Inter Miami 1-0. Excellent from Felipe. Cicerone, options, lays it off. Ball across, hits the goalkeeper, Illich from Keko. Spews central and back out to Lopez. Lopez floating toward Keko, header falls Sanchez. Keko. Keko for Felipe. Barrios pressing Donovan. Turned over, Herrera. Spinning, Gurr. Gurr picks his head up, crossing for Cicerone. Met by Edwards. That's a nervy moment for the Rapids.
Jack Gurr's all turned around here, but Luis Felipe, watch him right at the top of the box. 96, black jersey, top of the 18, play him. I mean, he has tons of room. This is a simple 10-yard ball over your right shoulder. You put this thing on the deck and you've got an opportunity to get back into it. It's a good recovery by Sacramento Republic after the brilliant start from the Colorado Rapids.
Goal in the 4th minute. Lewis from Leyva. Leyva's first assist since joining the Rapids in his 3rd game. Corner for Sacramento, seeking a response. Felipe chasing. Keko. Drives. Appeal for a handball. Play on. Bodies all over the place. Referee looks in. Has stopped play. It's a free kick for the Rapids.
There's actually 2 shouts on this one as it swung into the box. The first one on the back post. Did it come off the hand? That's difficult. Looks like the knee there, but watch the follow through right here. That would have been a pen because it does come off of that extended right arm. The difference is the foul in behind. Good opportunity for goalkeeper to just settle things down right now. As hectic as it's been, Sacramento Republic pushing a little bit high. Remember, rotation. Gershbach on the left, Anderson, Edwards, Marcanic. I would say that Anthony Marcanic as well, excuse me. One of the ones you really want to keep an eye on, primarily operating at the outside left back position or into that wing back role. Over the course of the MLS season this year, all of a sudden onto that back 3 with numbers coming forward. Keep an eye open.
Barrios is offside. the yellow. Sanchez, he's lost the handle. Anderson stepped in. Max, no further. Keko. Brought play back.
Quite an impressive tackle coming up through the middle. There's the pressure once again from Sebastian Anderson. Stop me if you've heard that before. First 12, 13 minutes of this match, he's been very active. And one of the things that is really impressive about this Colorado Rapids team is the freedom that they give Max within the midfield. Puts a lot of pressure on whomever his running mates are in the midfield tonight. Danny Leyva, Ralph Priso. As Max goes, he can create himself onto that front three, really become another striker, but he's also so good at being that two-way player, dropping down in and finding a way to connect the dots within the midfield. But defensively, it is a little bit more difficult for the two in the inside.
Bypassing Sanchez, comes in to Barrios, bypasses Leyva. Edwards, it's not collision. I'm going to Max back up. Swimming down the left channel, Gurr into Gersbach. Corner for Colorado, what a header, Michael Edwards! Picturesque from Edwards. And the Rapids surge to a 2-goal lead.
Pretty incredible here from Michael Edwards. Would you watch the stack? Notice he's just lost. Lost in translation. Cicerone feels the presence on the backside. There's a little push off. He starts to go on the move that you see by Anthony Marcanic, but then he doesn't get any weak side help. So all of a sudden it's a 2v1. It's a late to step, but Michael Edwards, magnificent movement to step into the penalty mark and double it up.
That is his first Open Cup goal. That is just the 5th goal he's ever scored as a pro, approaching 100 games. And Colorado has shocked Sacramento on their home ground. A fortress practically impenetrable in this tournament. Give it away and a throw for Gurr. You and I spoke to Robin Fraser, and when he said it, it was clear he meant it. He's been around this tournament for nearly 30 years. Player, coach. Said there's a lot of teams that approach this tournament as if they're not trying to win it. Well, we're going to approach this differently than any team I've ever been a part of.
Ones that he's been involved in too, right?
Yeah.
Almost took a little bit of a shot at what has been in the past and used it as motivation for this team. And, you know, even though they're on the unbeaten streak of 8 games coming in, it has sort of been this facade of where do they stand in terms of MLS standings in the Western Conference and overall, because they've been in a ton of matches. You know, you and I talked that 3 goals here or there, and you're looking at a team that's at the top of the conference.
Yep.
But that hasn't been the case. He would be concerned overall if they weren't creating, but that's not the case. But a tournament like this can turn it around. It can give you that motion that helps propel you into another stratosphere, and certainly has done so just outside of 15 minutes into this game. Rotation, players, movements, doesn't matter any of it right now. Ton of confidence for Colorado Rapids on their own.
You and I spoke to Phil Neville at Inter Miami. 6 straight losses. You advance on penalties against a crosstown rival, Miami FC. Now you've won 3 in a row, gotten a positive result in 4 in a row. Suddenly so much of that's in the rear view. A couple of wins here in a row for Colorado would only serve to better boost that confidence. Ahead to Cicerone. Got Edwards on the ground. Cicerone tees it up, wasn't there. For Felipe, bouncing through, Cicerone chasing. Still loose. And put out for a corner. There was an appeal from Felipe. Surely that hit a hand. The referee says otherwise.
Well, he felt it hit over the underarm. I'm not so sure that I agreed, but from the angle, really difficult to tell. Edwards has got to stay on his feet. As crafty as Cicerone is going to be right here. That one, there's not a bad shout. It's difficult though, up underneath.
Service across, that demolishing run by Felipe sends it high over the bar.
Recognize where this ball hits into, because the actual rule, it's at the bottom of the underarm, and that's what the referee was pointing to here. Almost hits the armpit, which where the jersey is, that's not a handball. Does it actually catch in that area? Boom. Now, the argument there is there's some elbow in it, but does it come off the torso and redirect? That's a whole nother conversation.
All the while, there's a foul just outside the area, and a set piece for Sacramento to try and put themselves back in contention.
Got to be smarter. As quick as you're trying to play out here, you have to be smarter if you're Anthony Marcanic. You can't play a hospital ball right at the top of your box. Positionally, those are things that you're going to learn. You're sitting in this 3 instead of a wider position or in a back 4. That central ball, more often than not, is going to get you into trouble. And from a dead ball, Jack Kerr is going to fancy himself. Keko can hit it. You could also get cute and come to the far side of the field, but I'm being as direct as I can in nature if I'm Sac Republic.
Keko's walked away. Spare a thought for the player that has to provide the base to this wall. Let's see if Lopez even puts this in play or merely steps aside. There it goes. Into the air, wide. Gurr set up his own volley. 20 minutes gone, Sacramento showing signs.
That's one way to go about it. Because of how square he is, you know that he's going to be leaning back, which means it's going to be really difficult to hit this at an angle. You got to admire the confidence from Sacramento Republic, just looking for any sort of straw to grasp at this point in time. Feels like they're chasing ghosts of 2022 right now.
Lopez got up to it, Felipe as well. Gurr. Edwards. Cicerone got caught. Edwards able to pull it away. Launch upfield for Barrios. A whistle on the challenge by Wheat. Sanchez, who is signed as an open trialist. Much like Emra Clementa of the past, they've had some guys that become somewhat club legends out of that tryout process. Flicked aside. Floated ball, appeared to take a deflection, falls Felipe. Felipe! Off his own player. Keko slides in, kept away from Herrera, and touched over by Maxu. Fans dive deeper into the thrills and drama of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. There may be thrills and drama right here. Barrios lays it across. Wheat got in there, still loose. Now a whistle and a free kick given. Lewis took that the distance.
Very impressive by the Rapids on this high line that they're carrying, and still mistakes being made. You're not doing yourselves any favor. Barrios happened to pick it up. That ball right there, really impressive. Thought he had Jonathan Lewis picked out, but it's an excellent recovery by Arnold Lopez. One of the better additions to the Sacramento Republic squad in the midfield. Very fortunate that the Rapids don't grab another.
Anywho, join the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at Open Cup, on Facebook at Official Open Cup. You know, for the thrills and the drama. Cicerone got a piece. Wheat straight through. Priso being attended to. Just 20 years old. In Toronto, now into Colorado. Anderson, Barrios, Felipe cut it out, Sanchez. All of a sudden, Dev, the 12th leading scoring offense in the Western Conference in MLS is back 5 goals in 115 minutes. That's certainly a different disposition after just 6 goals in the league. And they're opening 10 games.
Well, the biggest concern for Robin Fraser with kind of the whew, and relax.
Cicerone forcing his way into the conversation. Marcanic.
All the hard work that they've done over the past couple of weeks finally hit their breaking point on the road against the Galaxy. Coming out 3-1 as victors. Thought maybe they might be lax at the start of this match and pull back a little bit. Not the case at all. That'll certainly be a major talking point for his team, albeit 20 minutes from now heading into the dressing room. There's still some sloppy play he'd like them to clean up regardless of the opportunities created.
Priso snuck that through to Lewis. Leyva. Lewis. Overlap. Out of the reach of Gersbach. Sacramento charging forward. Herrera. Keko. Whistle arrives over the objection of Priso, who, to be fair, felt he had been wronged on the other side about 5 minutes ago.
Remember, coming into the match, I said that that central spot that is normally occupied by Roro Lopez, due to his injury, the responsibility is going to come down to Cicerone and Keko. And with the movement coming forward, as you come high, all of a sudden, you've got to drag runners with you. And it's a good move by Keko. Excellent recovery by Priso, but doesn't need to get himself into trouble like that. That's a young professional's mistake, moving into the corner and getting stuck in.
Corner for the Republic. Forced away, sits up. Lopez! Well, that's a Lopez of an entirely different ilk. May have been the goal of the tournament from Rodrigo Lopez last year. Arnold Lopez wide this time. Slide in Timmer. Now Lopez got a piece, and it's flying forward for Colorado. It's held up by Leyva into Priso. Turned over, good read by Felipe. Herrera allows it to glide through. Stares down Marcanic, Keko, the return, flag is up, it's offside.
There's plenty to be had within this game. Again, as happy as you're going to be if you're a Colorado Rapids fan with the 2-0 lead 28 minutes into the match, there are still a ton of errors coming from the visitors, which is allowing Sacramento Republic to hang around. And to be fair, could make the argument that both the goals for the Colorado Rapids came off mistakes from Sacramento Republic.
Cicerone. So bounce all the way through. You would say the two comebacks at the end of regulation stoppage in the Miami Classico, maybe the 5-4 San Diego-Seattle game last round. The crossfire match against Sacramento, 5-4 extra time.
And yet,
we've got another match of the tournament contender, an equalizer from Philadelphia in the 120th minute. Minnesota 3, Philadelphia 3. Priso. That fire contained by Timmer. And of course, there's the little stories. We spoke to John Jacobs, who does PR for Sacramento. He's been calling it the Omar Bowl, as in the former PR man for Sacramento, Omar Gonzalez, who now oversees, our coach calls, among other things, with the Rapids.
A legend, both of them.
Ball whipped across, header, Herrera! He's finally found his scoring stroke. And the Republic back in the match at half an hour.
It's been coming. The space has been there, and unfortunately for the Rapids, so have the mistakes. Notice, unmarked. There's no movement to the outside. That's on Anthony Marcanic. The ball goes out. You got to slide out into the space. Instead, Gershbach comes to the interior, slow to get out, and just go have fun. This thing gets whipped into the box, and Herrera slides himself right in between that back three. Loads of space, plenty of time, and belief that they are now back in this game.
Keko the assist. Herrera has now scored in 2 games running after a scoreless opening 6 for the club. A hamstring injury playing a role in that. He scored 5 in 4 preseason matches. There was a feeling that the Colombian was the answer that they felt they had from 3-4 different players last year that never seemed to show consistent results. It's amazing how all of a sudden there's a different ethos in the building from the home supporters. Cicerone lost it. Priso lays it ahead. Priso from Leyva. Turned over to Cicerone. Laid that into Keko. That's a great tackle by Marcanic. He's gotten some praise. He played a huge role in a match earlier this year, staving off Kansas City late.
I'm all for him. He's a great talent. Anthony Marcanic, Northern Illinois. Positionally just trying to find some of his footing. And whether you've employed him, good turn there.
Keko slides in, and that's one too many attempts in on Priso.
Whether you go with him at the outside of a 4, play him in a wingback spot, obviously tonight he's on that back 3. This is a guy who scored 17 goals and had 24 assists in college. And when you talk to his manager prior to the draft, had a good opportunity. Ryan Swan talked about how he and his brother were guys that just help put the program back on the map because it's his work ethic. He stays and he puts it in every single day. He's just got to fine-tune some things to make that step to the next level.
Cicerone angling, held on too long. Lost to Wheat by Max. Felipe Sanchez. The flag had been raised. Both selected in the Super Draft, the Marcanics. Nick to Cincinnati, now at Charleston. Anthony, 26th overall last year to the Rapids.
One of the biggest things for him is going to be recognizing that he doesn't have to be the guy. You know, that's a big talking point for Anthony Marcanic because of his success for such an elongated period of time, including the tandem pairing with his brother. You know, he had to take a back seat to his brother for a little while because of the numbers that he was putting up. His brother, of course, a more attack-minded player. But whether he is a center back and outside back, really comfortable, especially in possession coming into these interior roles with the way that they're rotating in general, he's going to have to be.
Cicerone, Felipe hangs across in, Keko chasing. That is Herrera and a lot of blue shirts. 2 Sacramento players join the fray. Gurr. Early ball. Sought Felipe. That's a goal kick. What's changed, if anything?
Well, a couple of things. I would say number one, Sacramento Republic is not as sloppy on the ball because they've cleaned up some of the touches. The mistakes that are being made are in an advanced position as opposed to the opening 15, 20 minutes. They turn the ball over. It was either in the center of the field or their own defensive half. You make it a lot easier for the Rapids to challenge you. The other side of it is, if you watch, it's the advancement of personnel. When they win the ball or these 50-50 challenges on their own and just pick up some of the loose ones, immediately you're looking at a ton of space, more importantly, a ton of one-on-ones. That ball that just got whipped into Luis Felipe on the back post, 7 players within about a 25-yard span. You didn't see that in the opening portion of this match.
Timmer for Gurr. Gurr remains from last year. So does Donovan, but 3 of the back 5 not part of that group that led Sacramento all the way to the final, including the injury to Damia Villader and the hopeful inclusion tonight of Lee Desmond coming off an Achilles injury. Suffered around that time. 9 months to the day since he last featured. Is available tonight. Donovan orchestrates through Cicerone. The touch was all wrong. To be fair, his timing didn't help. By the way, you see on the ad board the 988. Talk a bit at halftime. Both teams wearing an homage to Mental Health Awareness Month. These are the New Day kits Colorado's wearing. Strong slide in. Didn't work out for Leyva, seeking Lewis. And Gurr back to Vitiello. Lopez on to Wheat. Sanchez. Keko. Throw for Colorado. Max. Anderson. That stayed in, and Barrios cleaning out Wheat.
This will leave a mark.
No, that's Donovan. Apologies. Barrios has had no problem touching every blade of grass tonight.
He's been all over the place. This front two quickly turns into three with the way that Max presses on this back line, although I would say that past 10 minutes or so, Sacramento Republic have really pinned down the Colorado Rapids into a much deeper position. Cicerone, Herrera, Keko come higher, makes their three on the back line sit a little bit deeper, and so it becomes convoluted within the midfield. So many bodies, hard to find a rhythm within the game when the simple passes are no longer readily available. It's better from the Rapids. Just take what the game gives you. And everything doesn't always have to be flashy and quickly from one end to another, although I'm sure you would like it to be. If the game has compressed itself, take these little touches in front of you, proper communication, and try and build your way back out. You don't have to go from one end to the other immediately.
Herrera may be benefiting from grass that saw his footing slide out from underneath him. Not that Sacramento will care. Keko goes entirely unnoticed here. He may well be a target down the line. Otherwise, Gurr's simply going to put this in the box. Gurr delivers, header nearly to Donovan. A defensive header skips over the Sacramento center back. A corner for the Republic, approaching halftime. Rapids looking for their first berth in the round of 16 since 2017. Sanchez for Gurr. Floats. Header speared over the line. Keko and Felipe. This could be a very quick reserve. Keko met Marcanic. High arcing ball, Cicerone at Illich.
It's another slip on the far side of the field, though. This time it was Jonathan Lewis who went to ground. That allows the Republic take a touch and whip this thing into the box. I told you about all the numbers they have on the front line. That's a real good representation of it. Cicerone, Herrera, Gurr trailing into the picture. You also had Aldair Sanchez on the back post.
Maxu to Illich. Illich goes somersaulting over the sliding Herrera. Briso. Seb Anderson. Danger brewing, Max. Barrios, the central run. Barrios through, he lost his footing. That pass from Max was chef's kiss caliber.
Now the Brazilian's got some kind of vision. When he cuts this thing back over his shoulder. How's that? Oh, thanks for coming, Connor Donovan. Brilliant stuff from Max. Was on the same page as Michael Barrios. But it's the third Musketeer in the past 5 minutes to hit the deck. Kudos to the groundskeeper.
Lewis, in a rich vein of form, the latest to test the constitution of his studs. Held up by Herrera, tried to whisk it through to Gurr. And that from Keko, overzealous. Different teams approach in different ways. It's not like LA and Sacramento is a short bus ride away. So the way Colorado chose to approach the 4 days with this tight turnaround to a Tuesday night was to fly day of both to LA, where they got a 3-1 win, and here today to Sacramento. So this is the first time they've been on this field, to be fair. A few players slipping. There's the latest. Just one added minute. Of course, in MLS in 2020, flying day of somewhat had to become the standard. So hardly unfamiliar. Gurr will growl at Gersbach. Well, set piece here for Sacramento to try and pull level before the half. Edwards off a set piece in the 15th minute. Jonathan Lewis opened the scoring about 3.5 minutes into the contest. Metal bleachers quaking. Gurr puts it up. Over to Sanchez. Settles. Crosses again. Barrios. Can he slip it ahead? Leyva. There's halftime. Colorado, 2 goals in the first quarter hour. Sacramento just shy of the half-hour mark. Pull one back, and we've got a game here in Sacramento at halftime.
That's the main talking point, Rao, is the early influx from the Colorado Rapids off the mistakes from Sacramento Republic, who seem to outpass and outclass the MLS squad towards the latter portion of the first half. But they are still from behind. Robin Fraser know there's a ton of work to be done. It doesn't matter who's on the field, they've got to find a way to get control of the match because they've been chasing for the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Sacramento about 3 times the expected goals of Colorado in the first half. Of course, that is wholly irrelevant. Colorado have double the goals of Sacramento at the break. Herrera pulls one back, but it's Lewis and Edwards that have the Rapids feeling good headed into the break.
It's time to play Game Night Jam Movie Edition. Okay, this is how this works. We're going to play a song, and our contestant here, Mark, has to tell us what movie it is from. Here's the catch. Mark's brother was here last game and struggled big time, Mark. It was maybe the worst contestant we ever had. The question is, are you going to be better? Do you have the answer, Mark? He's so embarrassed he didn't come tonight. That's not true, but we're going to say that. Okay. 4 songs. You get 3 out of 4. We're going to help you with the rock. Let's roll song number 1. Okay, all right. Your face made me nervous, man. It made me nervous. Okay, good job. That's 1 for 1. All right, what's song number 2? I mean, home. Hang on, you said Superman. Oh, the correct answer is Star Wars. Star Wars? No. Okay, all right. Okay, you need to do the next 2 right. I thought that was the easiest one, but we'll move on. Song number 3. This is a little harder. Oh, Jaws. All right, there we go. We're back on track. Nicely done. That's the easy one. You get Jaws. Star Wars? He said he couldn't hear. All right, okay. This is for the marbles. So this is for the game part of Rocky Runners. What is song number 4? And speaking of 30th birthdays, happy 30th birthday to our friend Felipe in the building tonight. Happy birthday, Felipe. face back challenge for the Giant Soccer Ball Challenge. We have two teams. Here's how this is going to work. We're going to start with elbow soccer, who's behind me. We're going to toss one of these giant soccer balls up in the air. If they keep it up in the air as long as they can, and it touches the ground, the timer stops. So we stop the timer. Here's the key. After 15 seconds, we're going to add a second ball. Okay? We're going to add 15 seconds ball 2 and 50 seconds ball 3. As long as they can hold it up, that's what the timer do. They both soccer want a chance to be. Alright, we got the timer up on the video board. Elbow soccer, are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1, here we go! Alright, let's start. Yeah, simple. Ball 1. A lot of teamwork. We're almost at 10 seconds. We're ready to roll. Okay. All right. Here we go. Ball number 2. Here goes ball number 2 on soccer. Oh no! Oh, time is up. The ball sees are at 24.5 seconds. Give it up for soccer, ladies and gentlemen. The key is you got to keep the ball separate. That's the key. Soccer's getting ready to go to the cover center pitch. You got to give 24.5 seconds. If they do that, we're going to hook up and take us to a future match. Soccer's getting ready. You guys got to spread out, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, we're off. Oh no. Oh no. Oh boy. Okay. 4 seconds. Do we think we can give another try? Should we give another try? Elbow soccer says no, we're going to one more chance. All right, here we go. Time reset. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to run. Here we go. Oh no. Yep, there we go. I like it. Okay. We're doing much better. Little drifting action, but it's okay. Almost 15 seconds.
Welcome back. Those are giant soccer balls on the field at halftime. And it's highly unlikely they'll feature in the second half. But you never know. It's 2-1 at halftime in favor of Colorado. Joined by Devin, I'm Mike. Let's show you the scoreboard around the Open Cup. Inter Miami outlasts Charleston. Pittsburgh gets a goal from Danny Griffin right before halftime. Ride it all the way to a win over the Revolution. Meanwhile, LAFC has picked up an early goal against Monterey Bay with a very young lineup. Minnesota outlasts Philly. Extra time, goal for each side in extra time. It took penalties, and the new coaches did just fine. Chicago got a 2-1 win under Frankie Klopas. Troy Lesesne wins his debut for New York Red Bulls. How about a look at tomorrow's schedule? FC Cincinnati, NYCFC, the highlight of the early window.
I would say there are a couple of games you've got to have your eye on. Seattle Sounders, who just dropped points on the weekend to Sporting Kansas City. SKC's first win of the MLS season. All of a sudden, Seattle Sounders are on the road against LA Galaxy. How about the Interleague, Birmingham Legion, 901 FC. Mike, you'll have the Austin, New Mexico United at 9 o'clock. Cup set of brewing or no?
Maybe.
That's remains to be seen.
Yeah.
That's aggressive in nature, my friend.
What?
The Fighting Zach Princes.
All right.
Go get it.
That all-USL matchup, they call that Southern Harm. There will be multiple USL championship sides in the final 16. Pittsburgh's gotten it done. And of course, Memphis or Birmingham. Can Sacramento get back in the match? Highlights coming up.
swing. I got it. I had to go back to 50i, and then you can start launching output out of the FBI. If you're in custom, it doesn't output, pulling output, log output. You and him, he came over and changed the camera. You did what? He changed the camera. Oh. Came over and got into hyper long camera or whatever, but it wasn't set up. Yeah. I don't think there's. Yeah, I see one blue.
Our racing is now passing through a
I see two blues, but not on the field.
Welcome back to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. This coverage is on the Bleacher Report app and BR Football's YouTube page. Same place you'll find tomorrow's draw. Right now it's Colorado that would wait to see their placard 2-1 over Sacramento. Well, they'll have to wait 2 days for it. Mike, Dev, here we go. First half highlights from the opening whistle. This was a strong performance from Colorado, who wanted to make sure that they sapped some of the energy out of the crowd in the Sacramento team. It's Lewis in the 4th minute.
Sometimes you need a little luck, right? Doesn't matter how well you're playing or how poor some decisions can be. You need a little bit of lady luck to show up, and off the bounce, right in the middle of the field, opens things up. So does Jonathan Lewis, but they go right back to work. This is a great little stunt that the Rapids run. You pinch one way, you pull another. Watch Edwards right at the top of this pivot. Just starts to drift, and the cutback. You feel a little bit for Russell Cicerone, who's 2v1. He gets caught in between two minds. Can't make the decision quick enough. Colorado Rapids do it for him. They double the lead. They're off and running. The home squad starts to work their way back in. Beautiful ball whipped into the box, and all of a sudden, Sebastian Herrera. Keko puts it on an absolute platter. He's positioned himself to absolute perfection between the two center backs. They were certainly the better team as the half went on, though the scoreline tells you a different story. Sacramento Republic, who have a 14 straight game winning streak at home, are on the ropes a little bit with the Rapids right now, who started fast but cooled off as the half went on.
Sacramento played 4 games against MLS teams in the Open Cup last year. They did not win the possession battle in any of them. 57% right now. Now, the Rapids today are wearing the New Day kits. Those were created by a pro snowboarder in Colorado turned street artist, Pat Milbury. It's the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month the past 9 days. It's focused on the sunrise and sunsets in Colorado. The sunset icon, a new day on the horizon, the possibility for a better tomorrow being infinite. The heart is specific to the Rapids. Meanwhile, this jersey will save lives. When the press release came out, 988 is the 3-digit nationwide phone number to connect with a trained counselor during a mental health crisis. It's a free resource available 24/7, coast to coast. 988 is on every Sacramento Republic player's jersey, and it's around the venue here as well. 2 clubs fully committed to helping those dealing with mental health crises. As we head into the second half here, it is Colorado 2, Sacramento 1 in the round of 32 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. There were changes at halftime for Colorado. Nicholson on for Max. That's a major adjustment for Colorado. Of course, this is a team that just played on the road against Galaxy, and then they're going to host Philadelphia in 4 days' time.
Edwards came off. Danny Wilson entered. That's not there for Colorado. Keegan Rosenberry came in at the break as well. Notably, no Abubakar, no Rubio, no Ronan, and no Darren Yappy in this game. Touch through by Marcanic. Opportunity for Lewis. Curls it off target. And Colorado from the jump in the second half creating.
That's a classy move. Higher line from Marcanic. Love this little turn by Jonathan Lewis. Notice as he opens his hips and that little touch, he plants his right foot immediately, gets that quick turn over the left shoulder. Allows him on that right foot to try and pick out the far post. Excellent from that high line in the central location.
They've talked about how confidence is smoldering, maybe not exploding yet. 3 goals and a strong defensive performance against Galaxy last time out gave them positive vibes. Lewis now has bagged 4 goals in the last 2.5 weeks. They ask him to do so much defensively that can weigh on the offensive game. But he has certainly found it of late. Priso able to shield Felipe away, but that's just a short-term solution. Free kick, Sacramento.
Well, this is going to tweak the overall shape for the Colorado Rapids. One would have to imagine that we'll see them drop a little bit deeper, more than likely into a 4-back system with the amount of runners coming forward. Defensively, it'll alleviate some of that pressure. You will get certain players into positions like Anthony Marcanic into this higher line. He's comfortable in possession. Talked about some of that in the first half. Didn't really like him sitting in the 3. Now all of a sudden, Danny Wilson, Maxope, the comfortable pairing for the Colorado Rapids that we've really seen over the course of the season, whether it's in a 4 or a 3.
Maxu now has played in 5 different cup competitions, by the way. Switzerland, Turkey, Germany, Denmark, and the United States. That's a push from Keko. He didn't feel there was much in that. Nicholson disagrees. Wilson won the Scottish Cup now 14 years ago, 2009. Timmer. Siphoned off by Marcanic. Priso, the return from Lewis. Side by Nicholson. Keko. Through for Herrera. Run arriving at the near post from Cicerone, instead seeking Gurr. Away from Lewis. Felipe off of Wilson. Into Leyva. Barrios. Jared Timmer interjects. Arnold Lopez, who's featured in Copa Libertadores, Copa Sudamericana, the international level. Got away from Priso, so it is Keko. Gurr serves, header snapped in! Sacramento from 2 goals down on level terms! Herrera again!
Tremendous work ethic on the interior by Keko. Said that you had to get it from Cicerone and Keko in order to have success. Luis Felipe helps on the secondary effort, but as this thing pops back to the outside, what's the positioning on the back shoulder by Herrera? That's twice now. He's done such a good job of just finding a half moment, a brief chance, any sort of respite for himself to recover, to reprieve, and to add layers to this attack for Sacramento Republic. Incredible finish into the corner to get them back to even.
In the 30th and the 53rd. And all of a sudden, they don't quite feel like ghosts haunting anymore. Angels watching. Sacramento level with Colorado, seeking their 4th cup set in 2 tournaments. A slip, the latest slip, Cicerone trying to bang in and take the ball away. It's with Colorado. The word resolute over the past 8 games, a word that Robin Fraser used with us. Time to find out about the resolve of this group of Rapids.
To me, what's also telling is that really 2 out of the 3 main pieces that Robin Fraser addressed. He talked about Russell Cicerone, and he talked about Jack Gurr, the high line in his distribution.
Here he is again, Gurr. Priso, the second header. Nicholson.
With the change that you've got on the back line right now, Marcanic at the wingback spot, Danny Wilson, those 2 have to be better in communication because there's just too much space. Yes, there are numbers certainly high for Sacramento Republic, but not as high as we saw at the tail end of the first half.
Lewis dancing. Levied off to Barrios. Michael Barrios off the post. Follow-up put in. Colorado wrests the lead back. It's Nicholson off the bench. And the Rapids lead in the 55th minute once again.
Michael Barrios so far this season, his 2 game-tying goals. Really impressive, but he can still distribute with the best of them. This time, he goes a little bit selfishly, but he does put his team in the most positive positions. Listen, you got plenty of numbers in front of him. Crack this thing up from distance and see what you're capable of. It's a kiss of death off the inside of the post, but the follow-up from Nicholson. Well done for this front 3. Lacking opportunities, but all of a sudden poke their head out and say, we are not going quietly into the night.
That is his 6th goal for the Rapids. This is 2nd stint with the club. And his first he has scored in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. The resolve for Colorado looks just fine. And it might be time to buckle up. This could be a wild conclusion. Barrios got his legs swept out. Keko nearly took it off Wilson. Illich sliding down. Finds Leyva. Vital header from Timmer, but still danger. Lewis. Arms grappling. There's the free kick. Won by Jonathan Lewis.
He didn't do himself any favors on the initial challenge here. Watch the arms up over the back of Jonathan Lewis. Little push off. Tiny wrap on that left arm. Referee allowed them to play on, but as the touches continue, even though the knocks aren't as forceful as the first couple that we saw, it's certainly enough on a continuation of the bruising that could be, and a heck of an opportunity here from a dead ball situation, centrally located, about 22 yards out. Who fancies themselves? Danny Leyva immediately went over it, though Barrios, a good look, keeping the goalkeeper honest, balancing on both sides. You go 6 in the wall. This has to be direct, you would imagine.
Cicerone getting his own wave of the magic spray. Leyva just got here to Colorado.
Just watch the top if you want to get cute. There's a runner there.
Leyva drives for goal. Not to be. The wall does its job. Leyva just 20 years old. He turned 20 this week. Talk about how he's training like every play, every little moment matters, how that's garnered respect so quickly. Barrios the corner now. Vitiello. Rosenberry. Teed up and sent toward Vitiello. Caught two Rapids midair. Keko said he got pulled down. Not the case. There's more U.S. Open Cup action ahead tomorrow night. 4 matches streamed live on the BR app and BR Football's YouTube channel. Wednesday's coverage kicks off 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Cup set-minded Loud United hosts the Columbus Crew. Fun doesn't stop until Portland and Real Salt Lake renew hostilities. 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Visit usopencup.com for the full schedule and links to watch all the action.
Ooh.
Lewis.
They're coming back to that. That's a card.
Shane Wheat booked, and Lewis was not going to let this foster without a card. Nicholson.
One of the things that the Colorado Rapids, when they are at their best, that they allow is this front three, which in its current iteration is Jonathan Lewis, Barrios, and Sam Nicholson, to really float and go find freedom of space. When they're in the open run of play, especially on the outside, you allow players to come down underneath and really go attack and explore their artistry. Sam Nicholson, unfortunately, like a wide receiver coming across the middle, paying for those efforts.
It's Felipe this time. Nicholson is still grabbing his right forearm or elbow.
That was a nasty little challenge that Shane Wheat put on him when hunting. And all of a sudden the rhythm, a little bit off here for both teams. Luis Felipe not happy with the fact that referee blows the whistle. I will say that it looked as if Leiva had already been going to ground.
Lewis,
beautiful
full step, and wow. Wheat, that's going to be two.
That's it.
Wheat being sent off. His errant challenge on Jonathan Lewis is a second yellow card in a matter of minutes. And Sacramento is down to 10 men. His first yellow card was at 60:02. 2 yellows in 90 seconds.
You have to be smarter here, especially because you're on the first one. So go back to the first challenge. Nicholson, great cut back across. There's no reason. You don't need to throw your body in that fashion. And then this time, studs up the entire time. That is a dangerous challenge on Jonathan Lewis. Both unwarranted, both unnecessary, and both have now put Sacramento Republic behind the 8 ball. If they are to put up any sort of run in the Open Cup that they saw in 2022, they're going to have to do it with less than 30 minutes, down to 10 men, and coming from behind.
Keko. Is there an immediate response? Gurr. Now it's worth noting that Lee Desmond hasn't played in about 9 months. He would be the center back in theory that you toss into the fray here if you decide to get those 3 center backs and 2 wing backs, or you could simply drop into a 4 from here. That's Timmer hitting the wrong end of the Lewis and Barrios trap. Officially, it took 101 seconds for Shane Wheat to accumulate 2 yellow cards. Turned over, Keko. Surging, Keko from a tight angle. Will not be a hindrance to Illich.
Good goalkeeping here, because even though Keko is willing to advance both himself and the troops, just stay steady. It's perfect positioning by Illich. Not concerned whatsoever. He's got good marking over the right-hand shoulder, the back line. Only really has to deal with Russell Cicerone as Herrera had dropped deep. And Illich right there to pick it up on the near post.
Timmer brought it down. Barrios intervenes. Vitiello arrives. By the way, this is the 97th professional appearance for Shane Wheat. That is the first time he has ever been sent off. Lopez chested down toward Herrera. Priso. Free kick, Colorado. Anderson down. Back from Cicerone. Took an odd carom. Cicerone kept it moving. Not a down. In the vicinity of Keko. Gurr. Markanek puts it out for a Sacramento corner kick. Corner for Sacramento. Nervy. Scooped on the backside, Felipe. Pushed out by Maxu. Felipe went down. Play on. Lopez. Timmer playing a dangerous game. Gurr. Gurr for the back post. Too high for Herrera. And all the while, Felipe never got back up. They're calling for the athletic training staff.
It was in from behind it. To me, it was the knee when he started to step here. It just turns on him a little bit. There's certainly not a ton of contact with Ralph Priso, though. The angle at which he falls seems to be quite awkward. The amount of ground that Felipe covers for Sacramento Republic, and the departure of Shane Wheat over a 2-minute span that saw a pretty horrific lapse in judgment. Losing 2 in the span of 10 minutes could spell catastrophe.
Felipe scored that wild winner against LA Galaxy on the road in last year's Open Cup.
Seems the local fans have been investing in Babel.
No, I think that language is pretty easy.
Hard for me to exactly pick it up, but sounds like Eastern European, possibly Romanian.
Yeah.
I can promise you that it's certainly not the verbiage that we like to address on air.
No.
I really hope that Luis Felipe is able to continue on. This doesn't just spell disaster for Sacramento Republic within this match and the importance that he has, what he carries for this team overall in general. And Roro Lopez going down with his injury and surgery, uncertain timetable. Much like everybody else involved in the Open Cup right now, there is such a congestion of games in the month of May. Sacramento Republic have Indy 11 on the 13th, turn around at Orange County on the 17th. You know, Mike, you look your head up and they could easily be playing 6 in the month of May. Well, the Colorado Rapids could be in a very similar situation. They could actually approach lucky number 8 if they're able to move on tonight. The roster for Sacramento Republic that's already quite thin due to injury.
Lopez and Villadere down for Sacramento for Colorado, you mentioned Price earlier. Bassett's been down. Queta, Costa, Beta-Shore.
And some of the information being relayed there, it sounds as if when Felipe tumbles, he actually caught a loose stud. And they're just tending to him right now when he goes to ground because there's a gash on the cranial area. Nice to see him up and moving. Just added a little headdress with an accessory. There is Lee Desmond in the background.
Zico Lewis.
Both changes that we were told were coming prior to the injury to Luis Felipe. One wonders if that's the direction Mark Briggs is still looking to attack.
Sanchez. Arnold Lopez. He's been a perfect figure in midfield for Sacramento. Over the top for Herrera. That by Illich. Direct, but right to Timmer. Keko. Gurr. That's quite the battle. Gurr still going with Marcanic. Won a corner. That's quick. Gurr sends the cross. Felipe is back in the game. 10 men Sacramento looking to equalize again. Up and away by Leyva. Still, it's Felipe. Able to swing this cross through. Nicholson deflects it away. He's got the go-ahead in the 55th. Now Barrios up for Lewis, who scored the opener in the 4th. Whoa, off the back of Keko. Little divine intervention that arrived in the right spot for Sacramento, or Lewis is running like the Roadrunner. Lopez. They left San Jose, LA Galaxy, and Kansas City in their wake last year. Gurr. A push in the back. Nothing in it from Danny Wilson. Cicerone flabbergasted.
The arms there on Russell Cicerone, there's no doubt about that. But if you're Denny Wilson, 31-year-old veteran from Scotland, there's not a ton in it. Certainly not enough for a penalty. That's just a little friendly how do you do with the right arm over the back shoulder of Russell Cicerone. No issue there.
Illich. Skies over Cicerone. Sacramento preparing 2 changes. Header down, there's Jack Gurr. Lopez. Keko. Away from Marcanic. Public down to 10 since the 62nd minute. Shortly after the Rapids regain the lead. Free kick Sacramento. too quickly.
Ball's still moving, too. Little known rule they just implemented, it can actually be rolling when you put it back into play.
The one since the game was invented, that little known rule that they just implemented.
Full stop, and then the rotation can begin. You hate to see it.
Well, it almost looked like they were preparing to stack 4 players over the free kick itself. I'll set him behind. Ushered back to the halfway line. Well, Lee Desmond hasn't played since the Open Cup final. And he's being handed the captain's armband. That is a massive return for Sacramento. All the while, Brian Galvan missed about 2 months, just returned here for the Rapids after an ACL took away the entirety of his 2022 campaign. Two bits of very good news, no matter who you're rooting for. Yellow card shown here on the throw coming off a substitution for Marcanic. One wonders if that'll play a role later. Barrios out of room. Good to see Lewis on the score sheet again if you're a Rapids fan, for sure. Comes in the 4th minute, checks out now for Galvan.
Robin Fraser feels like he's not that far off from a beautiful stretch you saw in 2022.
Barrios. Long run for Timmer. Marcanic. Pursing his lips.
Oh, I actually thought there was a possible foul here on that little extension by Anthony Marcanic. He actually picked up a knock. They put a lot of emphasis on this left-hand flank with Aldair Sanchez. Desmond coming in. Still rotating through a 3, but Jack Gurr pulling double duty. Sanchez a little bit deeper to help out. Gurr pretty high out on the right-hand side. Has to be with the amount that they rely on him. And you have to admit, Mike, that although Sacramento Republic down to 10 men, courtesy of Shane Wheat in the 62nd minute, they've done a real good job holding their own for the last 17 minutes. Almost to the point you wouldn't even know they're down a man.
Service up for Gurr. Appeal for a handball. Felipe, no. Nicholson smashes the diagonal. Into Leyva. Back into the width. Cross for Barrios, heads it down and in! Colorado has their insurance on the road! And Barrios rewarded!
You start to chase the game, you're going to open yourself up, rightfully so, but so much space in behind. But what can you do with it? And it's the cut back to the inside that you really have to admire. The initial ball from Nicholson. Watch this touch here. The second that you cut it back to cross, all of a sudden you change the entire shape of the defensive front for Sacramento Republic. That slight hesitation, it causes disruption for Jared Timmer. He's not sure if he's supposed to follow the run to Nicholson on the near post. Desmond doesn't catch him, and that's the perfect window for Barrios to step into, pick out the back post, and bury this. That is a beautiful counterattack from the Colorado Rapids that sees them go back up by 2.
The yellow card was given to a member of the Sacramento bench. Well, Barrios earned that. He has been all over the place tonight. Told it is Mark Briggs, the Sacramento head coach, shown yellow. That's a foul from Barrios.
Welcome back, Brian Galvan, as well.
Yes.
Put that thing on a platter. Michael Barrios. He said from preseason, he's looked really, really good. Coming back from that ACL, showing moments of brilliance. I'd say you'd have to look no further than what he just put on display. And is the magic that has been Sacramento Republic in this country's tournament over, or do they have any sort of surprises left? Down 2, down to 10, inside 10 to go.
Here's a change for Colorado. That is Kevin Cabral coming in off the bench. And a look at the goal from Barrios. May have sealed it.
Just 5'4", but he got all of that and more. Again, it was great craftsmanship by the Colorado Rapids with the space available and how quickly they were able to slice through the back line of Sacramento Republic.
Slid through Zico Lewis. That was a hope and a prayer from Herrera. By the way, Cabral featured in that Galaxy loss to Sacramento last year. Had 2 goals in the Open Cup for Galaxy in that run. Should the Rapids finish the job here, 2 goals up, a man advantage for about half an hour as Cabral drops back. The draw is Thursday night. We'll play 8 more games tomorrow. Into Keko. Got away from Priso. Header from Desmond.
Oh, how's the touch?
Lewis. He's staring back at the referee. He can't believe it. Much ado about nothing. Merely a corner.
Oh, that seemed to kiss his hand, too. Watch it as it pops up off the deck. Great ball by Jack Gurr in a diagonal. Again, the conditions on the field tonight have been problematic for both teams. That one by Zico Lewis on the darting run. Sure, he wants it back, and this is an opportunity. Mark Briggs is just bringing in fresh legs with LaGrassa and Nick Ross to try and get them the ability to chase down some of these balls. Nicholson, Leyva, Priso, fresh legs and a fresh push with about 5 minutes to go. Luther Archimed with the pace up top. The tired legs of Herrera have caught up with them, pulling out all the stops to try and get back into this.
LaGrassa was part of a cup set against the Rapids in 2018. That awkward geographical alignment that saw Nashville, then in the USL, topple the Rapids. Over by Ross. LaGrassa, Keko. Turned down Gurr, instead Keko. Sanchez chasing. Turned back by the Rapids. Gurr. Keko. Slide by Ross.
The assignment has changed defensively for Anthony Marcanic, and he's just looking for a little bit of help because Jack Gurr is coming from a deeper position. He's playing on the half turn. He's got to watch this high line of Keko, doing a real good job of it too. And just making sure that that overlapping run doesn't come.
Sanchez on the LaGrassa. Touch dragging him all the way to the end line. Rosenberry closes down.
It is interesting to see how much, given what has gone on and the way that they've found success, that they're favoriting this right-hand flank just even more as the game goes on, and you can't blame them for it. That's where all the positive build has come from. But it does make the job easier a little bit for guys like Anderson and Rosenberry out on that right-hand side. Commentators' curse in full effect.
Vitiello. It's about that time. Ball through. Long run. Lewis can't catch Maxu. Does get a corner with about 100 seconds to go. That right-hand side now, nearly half the attacking effort in the final third in the second half. It was about even 40, 40, and 20 in the middle the first half. Gurr crossing, went for Desmond. Sanchez. Sacramento is the only unbeaten team this calendar year in the United States. Header across toward Archimed, too high, too far, too gone. Dev, there's something to be said about the impossibility of catching lightning in a bottle all over again. This Sacramento team had to put last year in the rear view and try and create something new altogether. And the Rapids, after conceding a 2-goal lead, threw a wicked counterpunch around the hour mark. The red card arrived. Sacramento kept fighting, but Barrios seemingly has put it away. Five added minutes. Rosenberry shrugs, rolls away. Maxu helping up Zico Lewis. All the while, this is a win the Rapids really could desperately use. It's another win in a row here. 9 unbeaten all competitions. All of a sudden, you're starting to string together winning results. Keko through for Archimed. It dragged him out. Archimed out to LaGrassa. Slips ahead. Keko. Gurr.
Well, that's the most important thing right now. You're 3 wins in 4. And everything Robin Fraser addressed with his team was about just continuing on. That he felt like they were right there and the opportunities were created defensively. It was going to get better. All of a sudden, you've given up a couple of goals on the road in an Open Cup match, but it's a very difficult place to play. But attacking wise, you've now turned it up and reached a season high. It previously was set against you in the Open Opener when Seattle Sounders thumped them back on February 26, 4-0. Sort of chasing the inner demons ever since. It's the 0-0s, the 1-1s. You repaid the favor to LA Galaxy on the weekend. And the next thing you know, 7 goals in 2 matches. Certainly doesn't look too shabby, albeit with a couple of minutes left here. And yes, there's definitely work to be done, but it does give you the hope that you can go and get it regardless of circumstance, because they started well, they got their goals, then their performance faded. Let's be honest, heading into the dressing room, they did not look good, lead or not. And to start the second half, same thing. The red card comes, the intensity went higher from the home team, but the Colorado Rapids have stuck in there. There's something to be said about the tenacity for a squad, that even when you're not playing at your best and you may have a lead, that you still fight through it. Cup games aren't easy. Opposition is different. You don't normally see what's going to be put out in front of you. Coaching staff admits it, but you got to trust the preparation. And it looks like the Colorado Rapids are going to be able to get out of here.
Resolute, no let up. Phrases that really describe that magical run to the top of the Western Conference 2 years ago. The good times may be back again for the Rapids. All the while on CBS Sports Golazo Network, Monterey and LAFC ensuring you can continue your Open Cup fix, because it appears they may well be headed to extra time. Simon Dawkins has just scored in the 90th minute to pull level with an LAFC side that, to be fair,
can't drive in most states.
I believe only 3 starters could order a beer.
Steve Cherundolo took the team bus and he drove it.
Most starters in that game, if you add the 2 ages together, are still younger than the goalkeeper that they started. Nevertheless, 1-1 with Monterey Bay on Golazo Network. That is in stoppage time. Ross. Never say die, this Sacramento team. Gurr floats to the backside, and a clever back heel away by Keegan Rosenberry. Should well seal the deal. Their first round of 16 since 2017. They'll seek their first quarterfinal since 2006. They'll find out Thursday in the draw where and who they see next. The Rapids cede a 2-goal lead. They grab the last 2 goals to ensure their place in the round of 16. The Rapids knock out last year's darlings, Sacramento, ending one of the longest modern era home winning streaks in the competition's history. The Rapids are moving on.
It's a slow start for Sacramento Republic, capitalized by Colorado Rapids. They go grab 2 early. Would the fight be there? The answer would be yes. They put the ball on the deck. They trusted the game plan that Mark Briggs put in front of them, and for a large portion of the game, they were the better team, but mistake prone. Certainly the red card by Shane Wheat in the 62nd minute caused this team to chase from behind for the rest of the match. The Rapids took full advantage of it, erased a half-decade of history, while trying to add to some of their own, seeing themselves into the final 16. And Sacramento Republic are going to have to wait another year to make a cup run.
The Colorado Rapids advance on the strength of an early goal from Lewis. Edwards, a picturesque header in the 15th. And after ceding goals to Sebastian Herrera in the 30th and the 53rd, get late goals from Nicholson and Barrios in the 81st. Colorado is moving on to the round of 16. For Devin Kerr, our entire team in Sacramento and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. So long for now.